Saturday morning, February 28th, the very last day of this month. We are now 2 months through the new year. And Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, is joining us. Luis, it'll be Christmas soon.
I know. It's crazy how fast time flies, right?
Yeah.
But hey, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. We're heading into March.
Yeah.
Baseball season is starting soon, which is fun. I know you're a huge Dolphins fan, but does baseball do much for you? Do you like the Marlins or?
Well, it's funny because growing up, we didn't have a baseball team in Miami, but when I moved out here, I became a Giants fan, right? So that was the team that I kind of glommed onto because all my friends are Giants fans. When the A's were at their height with the Bash brothers, that was fun to watch. But yeah, I tend to root for the Giants, and I was happy though that the Marlins did win the World Series at one point, just because it's fun to see your hometown team win, but not really following them very much.
When you were growing up in Miami, did you guys have like a AAA team there or AA?
Oh yeah, we had lots of minor league teams. That's where on the East Coast. That's where So that's on the East Coast where the Northeast teams go to do spring training is in Florida for the most part.
Right, and that was and I believe that the minor league team was called the Miami Marlins.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they were.
And also there were the international. Okay, 1956 to 60, then 62 to 70, and 82 to 88, and they played in the Florida State League. Was the league that your team was in. So that was an A-ball league, single A back in those days. We
had soccer team that we followed, and we had, other than football, there was a lot of, baseball was a big thing in Cuba, right? So my parents were big baseball fans. My uncle played baseball, like hardball baseball, until he was like in his mid-80s.
Wow.
In a senior league. So yeah, it's a big deal in the Cuban environment.
Yeah, and of course, at one time in the International League, which was the AAA league, they actually had a team in Havana in the 1950s called the Havana Nationals. And when my dad was playing AAA ball for Montreal, he remembers going to Havana twice. They flew down there on a DC-7, and they would play 7-game series. When you'd go down to Cuba, you would play 7 games in 6 days, and you did that twice during the season. They had a very long season.
Yeah.
Oh, he loved it. The International League truly was international because you had teams in, I think it was Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, and Havana, plus all the teams in the States. And he said the best road trip was to Havana. The worst was Richmond, Virginia. Didn't like that at all for a variety of reasons.
You got to take the good with the bad.
That's it. And then you guys, I can see why football was so big, because that was your first major league franchise in Miami.
Yeah, and
the
they
Dolphins.
were successful pretty early on, right?
Yeah.
So you had the Dolphins winning, getting into the Super Bowl 3 straight times and winning 2 of those. So it was a big deal.
And you also had an ABA team, the Old American Basketball Association. You had a team for like a year or two. As I recall, they played in a hangar at the airport. You'd have one end of it open, and the players complained that they couldn't see the basket from where the sun was coming in from the open end of the hangar.
I could understand that. Yeah. I didn't watch them, but yeah, I could definitely understand the sun being an impediment to seeing what was going on.
Exactly. Let's go off to our first story here. I'm going to see if I can get my mouse to work. It just, as you can probably hear that noise in the background. Okay, so Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, he's been there forever. He is laying out an ambitious AI rewire strategy. What does that mean to us?
Well, it's the beginning of really something we're going to see more and more this year, as AI has now been, generative AI has been out there for about 3 years, and people have started to really use it more and more to improve their operation, improve the efficiency of their workers, and also, unfortunately, replace their workers. So in the case of JP Morgan Chase, they are, as they call it, redeploying their personnel. So they're actually cutting back a number of their operation staff, a significant number. They have 300,000 employees. So when they say we're going to cut our operation staff by 4%, that's a big number.
Yes, it is.
But they claim that they're going to be repurposing a lot of those people and actually growing positions that are tied to what they call client engagement. So customer facing jobs, for example. And that's on the heels of another AI technology company Block. These are the people that make pay systems like Square and Cash App and Afterpay. And it's founded by a guy named
Jack Dorsey, right?
What's Jack Dorsey? Yes. Thanks for So Jack Dorsey said that they're laying off 40% of their staff because AI has made the other 60% much more efficient. They don't need that many employees. And this is a trend that we're seeing more and more. There was recently a law firm in Chicago, Baker McKenzie, said that they were laying off a significant number of people, about 10% of their global workforce, because AI had made them redundant. And that's the big fear that economists have, is that as AI starts to really take hold and get embedded in organizations, that you're going to see more and more of these layoffs and downsizing, or in some cases, just people not hiring because they can make do with the teams that they have using AI to improve their productivity and efficiency. So jobs are going to become more scarce. And it's something that, it's a trend that in our industry we're seeing. We know, I just hired a couple of new engineers, and these were young folks that went through CSUMB to get their computer science degrees. And they were two of them that took the networking track, right? So learning networking and all the things that we need to support our clients. But the other 10 people in their cohort decided to become programmers, and they have yet to be employed. And it used to be that when you got a programming degree, you'd be swept up in a second by Google or Meta or one of the big tech companies up in the Bay Area, but they're not hiring, especially entry-level positions. So it's going to be a challenge in the short term for sure.
I know in the broadcast industry or affiliated to broadcast, for example, like the jingle industry, most of the jingle companies have been based in Dallas for decades, and they do a good job. But now what's happened is AI is coming in and people are buying AI-produced jingles. And I'm sorry, I know of a couple stations locally that are buying these AI jingles because, for example, if I want to have real jingle singers sing a jingle like my station call letters and a slogan or something like that, at a minimum, it could cost me $500 to $1,000 a cut. But you're paying for professional, accomplished singers. You're paying for the musicians. There's a cost structure there, but there's also a quality issue where, you're getting like the best of the best. So then I've got people who are buying for $100. They're buying an AI-produced jingle, and they're trying to tell me, oh, this is even better than what you pay 10 times for from the company in Dallas. And I listen to it and I go, it's garbage. They don't even sing a slogan. It's just, like this cheapy little put together thing. And to me, that's one of the real problems with the AI thing, is that where's the quality control? This is like, for a lot of people, they're just looking at how cheap can I have this? Not whether it's any good or not. It's just, I just want something cheap, and then I'll try and convince myself and I'll gaslight everybody around me that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, and you're seeing that too in marketing, right? A lot of people that would normally hire a third-party marketing company to develop marketing campaigns or help them with social media presence or those sorts of things, they're just using, ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini to do that for them, to create content and to post it on their website or on social media, or even developing commercials using it. And some of them aren't that great. They're not very appealing, but they're cheap, if not completely free. So that a lot of people are lured by that. But what that means is that downstream, a lot of marketing companies are struggling right now, trying to find work and trying to find spaces to hire people. So we're starting to see the AI influence really impacting the job market. And you can see going forward that there are going to be a lot more of these, I'm using air quotes, productivity gains that will force companies to, especially public companies that are under pressure by shareholders, to cut workforce to be competitive with their peers who are doing the same thing.
Well, you're probably going to also see some sort of legislation coming down the line, kind of like King Canute trying to turn the tide back. And there could be legislative moves against more and more use of AI, particularly, if we get to a situation where if it just runs rampant and starts dispossessing people of jobs, you're going to see legislative moves to roll it back, because my gosh, you can't have hundreds or millions of people unemployed because, well, we got this new technology, so we'll see you later. Just wait till the next best thing comes along for you. I'm very concerned about social instability caused by something like this, because it could, rather than being a gradual evolutionary thing, it could be very disruptive, massively disruptive in a short period of time, and there isn't really any way to ameliorate that other than outright bans.
Yeah, a lot of people compare it to the Industrial Revolution or even, the introduction of the car, but even those were gradual things, right? You didn't go from horse and buggies to cars within 3 years.
Yeah.
It took a decade or more to really roll out the car as a replacement. And so there was this gradual, people that sold horses found themselves selling fewer horses, but they were able to adapt over time. This is just happening so fast that I don't think we're going to be able to adapt to the degree that we have in the past. And so you're right. I think this is going to bubble up to the federal level. And it's not just in the United States. This is a global problem.
Right.
Some have predicted that within the next 2 years, you're going to see unemployment spike pretty significantly. 300 million people or more losing their jobs, especially in Western nations that are more advanced. If you work with your hands, if you're a carpenter or you're a plumber, AI is not going to replace you anytime soon. So you're in good shape. But if you're in one of the information or knowledge-based jobs, you might find yourself looking for work in some other industry because you're not going to be able to find a job.
All right. That's Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today on Power Talk Radio. Online, alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is the X handle. Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
And give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
All right. And looking ahead to Monday, what's on tap for us?
Well, if you're worried about people around you using smart glasses to spy on you, tune in and you'll learn how to detect them.
That's Monday morning starting at 8:30 right here on Power Talk Radio. Luis, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the weekend. We'll chat again Monday.
You too. Take care, my friend.